So, rule of thumb from the developers when you're looking at your skill points and your combat rating, the max amount of skill points or stats really used in your stat points to unlock everything will vary between your spec and also vary between your actual, well, I guess your role, as a matter of fact. Using tanks, I mean, we just got to max on our dominance because we got rid of shield, so once you're done with dominance, then you start maxing out in health. Kind of how it works. But yeah, so what I want to do is, so as a tank, I have to choose my mastery, which is weird when you look at it as like, hey, you're a support role. What are you doing with this? Nokos, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the crash. Weapon mastery is where, and this isn't a good explanation for the people who don't know. Weapon mastery is exactly what it is. It's weapons. You're using only your weapons. If I'm using martial arts, I'm only using martial arts to do all the damage that I want to all day day. But there's a downside to it. Increases the total damage of my weapon attacks and allows my weapon attacks to regenerate power. Sweet. But my innate power regeneration, the regeneration I do on my own, gets reduced. For hybrid, we use both weapons and our superpowers, basically our abilities. So the upside, your weapon attacks regenerate power now. Yay! And then you have Power Mastery, which is basically the spiritual successor of Advanced Mechanics. This right here increases your innate power regeneration, your own regeneration. The power regens much faster, but it's also missing here in the wording. You do not regenerate power from weapon attacks. That's the downside. Because as a power mastery, you're not using weapons. You're using just the powers in your loadout, and that's it. That's all you're using. So as a support role, I'm a tank. What am I going to use? Well, it depends, because as a tank, there's two different types of tanks. 3, but fuck the third. Those are for the special flowers. You're either an active or you're a passive tank. Passive tanks are those like ice, where you actually have rotate your shields, you're blocking, you counter when you have to counter, but basically you're blocking, you're shielding, and you're basically on guard all the time. Or you're an active tank, which I kind of play with Rage because I can heal myself as I play. Atomic is one of those active tanks as well, because we have to keep attacking in order to keep healing ourselves. So, as an active tank that I am, which one's going to work for me? Well, luckily, I'm actually going to go with hybrid. I go with hybrid because I use my weapon attack all the time. I use my weapons all the time. I could go power mastery and just really use my weapon load, my loadout, and just do all my loadout stuff. But it's really not. I can tell you now, like the power mastery going into that, the regen I would get from it would be fantastic. But I like to be active, so I'm going to go with hybrid. It may differ. It may change during the course of our testing. But I want to test that with hybrid. I play with my weapon and my powers as a tank. I basically unload my buffs on my loadout, and then I just weapon attack all day, day. So we're going to go with hybrid. Yay! So now we have to spec into crit chance, or crit healing, or crit power. That's what it was. I wanted to find out if critical healing chance actually, if Rage benefits from critical healing chance, or even critical healing magnitude, which, the more I think about it, we actually don't get benefited from critical healing chance. We don't, because our heals are standard. They are standard. They are to a purpose. When I'm using Remorseless Recovery and I'm doing damage to someone, my healing is based off that damage. When I'm taking damage onto me and I have severe punishment going, the damage being done to me is what I get healed. 75%. 75% of that damage gets turned into healed. So critical healing chance doesn't do anything. Critical healing magnitude doesn't do anything. Of course, will I test it out? You darn tootin'. But already on paper, those two stats will not benefit Rage whatsoever. It might benefit Fire, because Fire may differ a little bit with how their healings are. There might not be a standard heal like Rage is. Rage is dependent. Fire kind of moves around a little bit. Correct, Nokos. We are going to increase our critical attack chance. And as a spiel, as a tank, it sucks. Mainly because these are the crits. Critical power benefits controllers. Critical healing benefits healers. Critical attack benefits DPS. We don't really have anything that's there for tanks. So as tanks, we really just go with the critical attack chance. True, it makes us do a little bit more damage, but that's fine because we're up front in the battle. Doing a little bit of extra damage is not going to hurt anybody because we're tanks. We're already being in the battle. We're already up there. Now, if I see a healer with critical healing chance, get the fuck out of the raid. Go. You will go respec yourself, and you will think about what you did. Bad healer. But for you, the more critical, the more heal. That is correct. That is, well, kind of correct. Because, remember, with Merciless Recovery, we actually have a cap. So, say I might do 1,000 damage. I'm only going to get back that 860, depending on my stats. Depending on my Restoration and Dom. But again, I really like to know those fucking stats so I can figure out how much they're... But critical attack chance increases our damage, which is cool because we can do, because as an active tank that I play it, we're already there doing our everything. So our weapon attacks are doing better. My abilities are going to be hitting a little bit harder. It's not going to be complete DPS numbers, but it's still going to help out in the fight to kill the boss a little faster. Because what are we doing? We're still fighting the boss. Boss is still on us and we're on it. So yeah, we're going to go with critical attack chance. Now, in order to unlock the second layer here, or the third layer technically, we just have to put 10 points into this first layer. We can max out all 20 if you want. But as a tank, our main focus, at least as a rage tank, our main focus, we want to get to dominance. We want all that. We want all that dominance. All 175, we want that. We want that. As a tank, we want that health. We want that health. Yeah. Earth tanks want that health. Technically, they want defense, but they don't get that anymore. They want that health. They want that. So we're not going to max out critical attack chance, and we're also definitely not going to max out critical attack damage. We're going to put 10 points and 10 points just so we can get all of our nice, beautiful skill points all into dominance, and then we're going to flush it all the way into health. So, and also, pro tip, if you're on PC and wanting to spec a little faster with all your number of skill points, mouse over the stat and hold the space bar. That's it. Just hold the space bar. No. 10's fine. Remember to always pay attention and stop yourself. Okay, so before we begin with this, so let's talk about the exponential growth that we have here. And some players out there have actually saw that it's a concern when you, especially later on throughout while you're playing. So to help those players out who, you know, they have like 85 skill points compared to someone who has like over 200. That 1% there is actually supposed to help out. It helps out trying to keep you up in that area. So your first 100 skill points into that stat will get you an extra 10% of that stat on top of whatever number it is there. It's a 10% additive. So yeah, so 65, you put 65 in here, you're going to, well, yeah, let's just say 65. You put 65 in here, you'll have an extra 6% of dominance added to your dominance that you have here for your next level. that extra 6 is supposed to help out just a bit for those low skill point players compared to the guys who are high end. Of course, the ones who are high end are still going to have some beast numbers, but it's not to make it where it's a complete different spectrum of people. Like, people up here, people are here. Now with this, it's kind of supposed to bring it kind of closer to the middle. You're still going to have more than down here, but it's making it where it's closer in the middle than like exponential, just like, oh my god, so it's a huge gap. So you're not too much of a hindrance. So okay, we are putting, I need 7 skill points unused. Okay. So on how I spec, according to the developers, as long as your skill points match your combat rating, you'll be fine. You'll get through content just fine. If it's a little lower, it's okay. If it's a little higher, congratulations, you're beast. But if it's like a lot, like, you fix that. But I mean, so you're basically supposed to be gaining skill points as you level, as you continue on. And we'll stop at 100 so you guys can actually see what what dominance would look like there. Because as soon as you hit 100, that's it. You have maxed out your 10%, and it now starts going into the high exponential, where leveling up, you're gaining like +1, +2, +3, +4, a little bit, maybe even +5. Now we're getting into higher. We're going to get into a higher number, where here, next level is going to be an extra 5. Okay, now we're still in forest. Was it after 125? I think it was probably after 125. Yeah, I don't know. 6. Oh, so that's 7. So we're actually, it's still increasing itself. See, now it's, well, that's 8. Whatever. You guys see the picture. It's the number is increasing. And so I'm only sitting at CR 190. I'm only going to use 190 skill points. Now, if you compare it to the players out there who are uber mesh, no, don't use that. Yeah, see, so I mean, at 164, my next point is going to be, my dominance will be increased by 20 with my next skill point used. And it just keeps getting higher. Now, of course, there's players out there who are in the 300s and all that higher numbers, whatever. Look at the population. Use WaveDocs. Use whatever service you want to. Use DCO Census. There are more players in between 200 and 250 than there are 250 plus. I've already looked at the numbers. I will keep my skill points to the point of my CR and actually give you guys a realistic view of what that number is. You'll find players out there who are going to be 102, 202, 300, whatever skill points, and showing you all the badass stuff. Cool. Is that you? It's showing you some great numbers, but is that you? I try to bring even a casual... Shut up, Carolyn. Love you. I show a little bit of a kind of a realistic point of view where you can be 202 and have 220 skill points in all stuff. And that will always be the factor when looking at Revamp videos, even mine. That will always be the variable. Each player is different. Each player specs differently. Each player has a different amount of skill points. So if I keep my skill points the amount of that my CR is, I'll show you guys the closest realistic numbers that I can. And I'll go with it. And when I get, I mean, my skill points now are at 197. Once I get to 198, I hope to God I've completed a couple more skill points and I'm able to get that number up a little more. So my skill points and my CR will increase at the same rate. It's kind of how the developers kind of want it, I feel, But in the reality, that's not the reality in game. That's not the reality at all. Players, by the time they're 200, they maybe have like 65 skill points. I mean, 138 with 65 skill points. I mean, 65, you probably got... I mean, I think I probably got the 65 before I even hit maybe tier 4. Can't remember. It's been a while. But I mean, it's a 6-year-old game. There's going to be a lot of content skipping, so I can't really fault someone for having 65. I can't fault you for having 65 skill points. I can't. You're trying to get up to where in-game level is. You want to play with the... You want to play where all the other players are. I can't fault you for that. Get up there. Get up here. But then all of a sudden players complain because you have low skill points, and this community really backfires upon you on that. And it's a fault on the developers for having this kind of system, and it's also a fault for the community for being such assholes. What are you going to do? 3 weeks and 65 and 138? I give you kudos because I can even do that. It took me years. But I'll also tell you this. I screwed up. Because I chose hybrid. I chose to put all my points into dominance here. I'm a hybrid player. I didn't put any points into my weapon. Not a damn point in my weapon. So I have no weapon combos whatsoever. I'm fine. That's fine. I'm fine. 197 just hit 188 skill points. Boom. Derek's actually about to pass me. I think I'm... No, he already passed me. I think I'm at 180. Maybe I'm at 190. Can't remember. But that kind of screw up, that's me. Yes, I talk too much. That's basically it. That's what happens. Damn me. Oh. I'm in tank, right? Yes, I am. I had to make sure. I'm gonna live with it. I will live with my choices. I'll take a supply drop. And I will take my sidekick. Don't even need you. And we're going to go back to our base so we can save this loadout and the embarrassment. Imprint all. Alright, so I get to play with Solomon Grundy here. So let's take a look at our combat log. Alright, so when you're doing the, in the Stats Revamp, I'm actually going to show you my spec too. So in the Stats Revamp, I am playing as Rage. I haven't really found a good hybrid loadout. It's just so goddamn hard. Because we use our combos so much, there's no real reason to stop. If you want to play hybrid, even playing hybrid, it's almost the same as playing weapons, where you just use your buffs and use your weapons to do all your good stuff. But with Rage, we rely on our combos. We do combos all day, all the time. So we really thrive here in the play from the tray. So in play from the tray playstyle, you choose the Power Mastery. That's our bread and butter here. So there are some players who saw that there was inconsistency when it comes to our power regeneration, because now folks are recognizing that it's back to bad. It's horrible. And one of the key things when you're using, or even when you're making your loadout, is right up there is your power costs. Your power costs are going to be 100s, which are low, 200s, medium, 300s, high. Anything above 300 are very high. And you'll find some 450s. I think... Do I have one? I don't think I have one in my loadout. Nope. Excuse me. I thought I did, but I don't. Or do I? Nope, I don't. Yeah, all my stuff is just all 200 and 300s and a lot of 100s. So, you have to pay attention to your power cost, to your power management. You are in charge of your own power. But I have a controller, Trex. Cool, the controller's there to not really give power all the time. He doesn't have to hit that instant power button all the time. He is there to debuff and crowd control. Giving out power, he'll do it passively, but you're still in charge of your own. Having a controller in your group will change your loadout as well. This loadout is more centralized to... it is probably a little too high to use in solo aspects because I need really a lot of regen sometimes. But we'll see how this looks like, what this looks like in a 30-second time frame against a sparring target, how much my power gets used. But I mean, I'm basically using a 300 and an Outrage is a high 200 combo cost. And it stings. It stings a lot. I think they actually changed it. Outrage... Yeah, the combo portion is now 150. So, I'm actually doing... My power cost is 200, 150, 150. That hurts. That hurts a lot. Outrage was our bread and butter on the live servers. And even here, it's still our bread and butter. It's still one of our biggest attacks in a melee stance. It hurts. That really hurts. And the way on how the developers look at it is we're combo powers. We're doing a power almost every second. Well, the power cost is basically showing off as every second. True, they could have just allowed us to do one large power cost and then the combo powers be, in the combos themselves, cost no power. But that also hurts it a bit because our power is going to start regenerating as soon as we do our power. So as soon as I'm going into my combo, my power generation is already starting. So that's why they couldn't do it that way. Hey, Iron Spider. Thank you so much for the cheer. So, I'm using Golden Eruption. And honestly, in this kind of loadout, it would probably work best to have a controller with me. Because I have a high power cost, and I also have this high power cost as well with Golden Eruption. Now, I can change Golden Eruption to use... I can use Violence, which is a medium. It's a 200 base power cost, and that's the base power cost is 200. The ones in parentheses is the power cost that affects you in what you're wearing now. Okay, it's what you're wearing now, and that number increases along with your item level and along with your power management, with your power pool. The higher your power pool, the more power your abilities will cost in their different ranges. So I can swap out Golden Eruption and put Violence on, and it will save me a little bit of power. I could use Plasma Wretch, kind of more or less used in a sense of, in a range aspect. But I mean, I could use it in melee. I won't get interrupted, so I don't see why not. But I chose Golden Eruption because, one, I do like seeing him blow on the ground. I really do. But we will use Golden Eruption and see what this loadout looks like in a 30-second time frame. That's a 30-second parser that I'm going to be running. So I'm using this rotation without a controller to see how long I can really go. This also gives you a glimpse on how long you can go in solo or duos, technically. But the difference is, in the solos and duos, you're really getting the blue bubbles that will give you power back. Alerts and raids don't have the blue bubbles. But this is also how players do their damage parsers as well. I don't look at those kinds of numbers. I just work on my rotation. That's what the Sparring Target's there for, working on rotations. So, and try and maximize your damage as much as possible. I mean, I look at the partial numbers down here, and that's all I can really go with. But let's see what we look like, all right? So I start the fight off. This is a melee combo. Melee loadout, by the way. Sorry, my throat's getting a little parched. If someone yells at me if my throat starts getting scratchy. As far as I remember, this is also going by some old knowledge as well. The higher your power pool... Now, okay, I do apologize. Well, I mean, it goes in hand. Because the higher your power pool, the more your powers are going, the more your abilities are going to cost power. It's also in line with how high your item level is, the more power is going to cost. But whenever you reach a higher item level, you're also reaching more power. So the more power, the more it's going to be used. That's the way I see it. The higher your power pool, the more your power is going to cost. Because I'm also relating that higher power pool to your higher item level. So the higher your CR is going, the more your powers are going to cost. Because the item level goes into your CR. So higher CR, higher power pool. Higher item level, higher power pool. Higher power pool, higher power costs. That's why it keeps creeping up as it goes. And a lot of players on the forums are realizing that this is actually still breaking because the power costs are still broken on how they're actually going up. But that's a battle that they can win. So it'll be the point of increasing your power pool if they continue to scale. I don't know. That's a question for a developer. I mean, I mean, it's basically, I mean, the higher your power... I mean, they can't really have it where your power pool keeps growing and your powers stay the same. It doesn't really balance out that way. The more power you get, the more your power should actually cost. Because, say, at CR1, you can do 5 powers and then your power pool is empty. You get to CR10... and your power pool increases, but your powers stay the same, you can run, now you can run 10 abilities before your power runs out. And so on and so forth. What would be the point of a controller at that point? Why would we even need... By the time we're at our level, we can blow through all of our power. I mean, we wouldn't even be touching our power at all. And so, I mean, controllers feel like, I want to give power back. It's like, well, they're definitely not giving power back now. Why would you? My powers are going to be only cost 100 or even 300. It's not even going to matter. Now, one of the things that even World of Warcraft did was actually make a set. Boom. Here's your mana cost. This is your set mana cost. You can't increase it. It's this. And then your powers are this. That's it. Well, that's kind of how I see it. I am known to be wrong, and I'm perfectly okay with being wrong. But with your power costs are correlated with your combat rating. The higher your combat rating, or not even combat rating, but it really just goes along with your power pool. Because the higher your power pool, the more your powers are going to cost to keep that in balance. To keep that in balance. You're increasing your combat rating, you're increasing your item level, that means you're increasing your power pool. So now your abilities themselves have to increase with it as well. Correct, Black Rainbow. And that's what we have here as well with the power regeneration. As a power mastery, we have self-power regeneration. In which even that number, and again, it's not as set as World of Warcraft, but with ours, our power regen is a percentage of our max power pool. So we actually regain a lot more. It kind of utilizes what World of Warcraft did and still put a DC spin on it. Even in World of Warcraft, you can only use a mana potion one time during a fight, which also bores me. But that's okay, I play a druid, so innervate, I'm good. But here with Power Mastery, we regen our own power pool a lot faster. And when you look at hybrid and you also look at weapons, weapon mastery, they regen their power by doing weapon attacks. So the more they're doing weapon attacks, the more power they're actually regening themselves. So there's always a way to regen. That's a question you have to ask the developers, Raph, because I'm not a developer, so I can't answer that. I don't know why they were thinking it. Oh, also, one of the big things, I actually probably should have mentioned this as well. Power is no longer a stat by itself. It's now officially partnered up with might. So, players didn't want to spec into power. They wanted to spec into might. So, the developers heard, and the developers followed through. And so, when you spec into might, you get power as well. It's an added bonus. So, kudos! You don't have to spec into power anymore if you're playing from the tray. Just spec into might, get your damage, and you also get an increased power pool because you're specking into it. Already, it's default. It's there for you. It's a bonus. Now, of course, there are players out there who, I guess, are weapon users, and they actually get a little offended. Controllers and healers losing the chance to actually get power, I completely get. But you also now get, and think of it this way: you're specking into power, you got some bonus might now. Kudos. All right, let's see what we can do with this loadout. So, this loadout that I've been tinkering with, I still need to work on it because again, Golden Eruption within this loadout, I need a controller. I just feel like I feel more comfortable with a controller here. So I start off with Relentless Anger, which is my supercharged generator, so I can use Berserk a lot faster. Which I don't use Berserk in testing at this point. I'm trying to get used to this loadout before I throw in Berserk. So I jump in, Relentless Anger lunges towards it and inflicts Plasma Burn. I technically don't even need Golden Eruption because my Plasma Burn's already been inflicted. But the reason I have Galling or Violence is because damage caused by Rage Crash is significantly reduced. I want that reduce. I really don't need it because, well, I mean, I'm not even actually in tank role. So I actually really don't even need this ability. I could probably switch it out with another melee attack if I wanted to, now that I think about it. But I'm going to keep it. Why? Because I like the blood on the ground. I love it. It makes squishy noises in my shoes. So Golden Eruption so I can lay down an AoE field, because AoE is nice. Frenzy, because I want Frenzy to matter. Then Revenge, and then I have Outrage. Outrage as my big attack. And then I have Berserk, because Berserk allows me to do extra bonus damage. It's good. It's good. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to do this rotation for 30 seconds, or at least until I see the damage parser down there pop up. Once the damage parser down there pops up, that's my 30 seconds, I'm done. So we're going to see how long it takes to really blow through this power. And I'm going to use a Soder, because Soder can be used. It's not going to be the end of the world. You can keep using it. So Soder's supply drops, all that stuff, it's still in your rotation. It's still there to be used. I don't use it in live because I tend to have a safety net fact that I have great healers and great controllers. I don't even really use that shit. But here in the revamp, I need to get more used to running with it. So alright, so let's start this off. Relentless. Here comes Frenzy. And Outrage also has a new, and Soder up, and I can start my rotation all over again. Now I cannot use, yeah, see, Outrage cannot be used. And because my power is so low, and it's just regenning, and that's it. So I did a max crit of 17k on one hit. So I did 282, 942 on that run. Ooh. I'm waiting for it to reset because I did 2 extra attacks there. There they are. So like I said, I mean, I'm only doing a 30-second parser just to see what the damage really looks like. Now, of course, when you're with a controller, it's completely different. In solos and duos, it's going to be, what's it going to be? Completely different. Because you are able to get blue bubbles, so you'll have power coming back to you as you fight. But this is just showing that what I can do with this loadout and really have fun with it. Pretty much, Raph. I mean, that's why we have the low cost abilities, which technically are our spammers. When you're low of power, you can either sit there and wait for your power to come back, or you can soda up and keep going, supply drop and keep going. But if everything else is down and you still want to fight, you have your spam abilities, which for me, it's Revenge. I can use Frenzy, but Frenzy I just keep going, and it doesn't allow my power to really regen enough. Where I can keep using Revenge, and I'll be perfectly fine. Alright, I'm actually going to write that number down because I have to keep track. I'm just going to put 282942. Alright, so let's try this rotation one more time. And I did mess up a bit because going into the second rotation, after I used my soda, I used Outrage. I shouldn't have used Outrage. If I can't use Outrage's next 2 combos, I feel it's a waste of damage. Because I can fill that in with Frenzy or Revenge and actually do a little bit and do a little better. And again, because man, Outrage is so expensive. I think it's like 500 power cost if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's a 200 and then 150, 150. Yeah, that's a 500 power cost ability to be using. It burns. Alright, going again. Meow, 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 meow. And we'll use Outrage. Boom. I'll use my kitty claws. Soda up. So basically, in 12 seconds, I'm already needing to soda back up. Oop. See, you just heard me run out of power. Oh, and there I am. That was actually cool. That was actually about 20,000 lower. But I did hit more. I just lost some crit there. Watch, it actually probably because of Outrage. It would not surprise me. Oh, hey Martel, how's it going? Alright. Let's go again and see if I can get back into that 280. Frenzy is mobile. Oh, it's so mobile. But I rarely move, though. How does the regen work with Power Mastery? Power Mastery, it's basically everyone's power regen is a certain percentage off of your power pool. What that percentage is, we don't know. Why? Because we don't see our fucking numbers up there on the greens and blues. Really pisses me off I can't see that. But so our passive power regen, our innate ones, regen at a percentage of our power pool, of our max power pool. When you spec into Power Mastery, that percentage is kicked up a notch. That percentage is increased. What that percentage is, no clue. Would be nice to know, of course. So, and with Power Mastery, that's how I'm actually able to at least sustain myself a little bit longer. If I was not spec'd into Power Mastery, I wouldn't be able to do a lot of them. I would not be able to do my rotation as much as I am for 30 seconds. So I'm almost basically doing my rotation for 12 seconds because as soon as Golem Eruption is off of cooldown, I am out of power and I need to use my Soder to get back up and go back at it. Alright, so let's see if we can get back into the 280s again. So we'll start up here. Big hit! Sodered up, using Frenzy. Yeah, so see, Frenzy is mobile. And I used Outrage to its completion that time. So I don't know what I did before. There it is. And I still actually, I went lower this time. Yes, Power Mastery is the spiritual successor to Advanced Mechanics. That's exactly what it is. So I am going to... it sucks I couldn't actually get back into the 280s. I don't even know what I did before. Probably, I mean, I just probably got some good crits. Because, yeah, my crit on this one was kind of low, too. Yeah, 21% crits on this time. I think the last one maybe was even in the 20s as well. What I want to do is change out Violence. Or change out Galling for Violence. Oh, thank you for telling me I can't change it while in combat. So, I'm switching out Violence and Galling because Galling, again, was a high power cost. And I needed to save some power a bit. And so I decided to use Violence. And Violence still allows me to... Violence still gives me an AoE because I'm going to be hitting people all around me. That's okay, Neutron. I completely am okay with that. I am completely okay. Alright, so let's see what we can do with Violence. I couldn't... Those numbers, I can't really get with... I can't even mimic it again. But let's see what we can do with Violence if it helps out my power pool a little better. Still a 12-second cooldown, so let's see. Animation time is probably a little bit longer. Meow, 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 meow. And go back in. And there's Outrage. There. Alright, so a 282, 547. At least I got back into 280s, I gotta say. Now I want to do that at least 2 more times so I can get 3 numbers in. Alright. Now another thing is I don't have to use Relentless Anger. I use Relentless Anger to start the fight because it lunges me in. And it's my supercharged generator. But since I'm really not using my supercharge, one, it's also a waste. I really don't have to use it again. That's power I can save for another ability. But it's just how I'm working with because I love the supercharged generator idea. Alright, so let's jump on in! Oh, that sucks. Lost like 2 seconds of damage right there. Like I said, using Frenzy can almost be a nightmare. 272. Lost like 2 seconds of damage because I ran out of power. So, let me look at Frenzy again. Frenzy was changed to... Yeah. Frenzy is... Starting cost is 150. And then the combos are 50. So, what is that? Yeah, that's a 450 maneuver when you think about it. It's using melee 6 times, 50 power each. That equals out to 300, and then my base power cost is already at 150. So, having that forethought, I'm actually probably hurting myself a bit making this where actually I need a controller. Because I cannot use Frenzy as much as I am, because I really love it, by the way. I really love it. But this is also a loadout that I can see I'm looking at trying to do in a solo duo aspect. If I had a dedicated controller with me, it would basically be an entirely different thing, which I really wish I had Inkay right now. But that's okay, because we'll do it. We'll do this one more time, and I'll see if I can switch over to a different power. If you guys... I want to see in chat what power you guys want me to see, and we'll see what majority rules. Alright. Jumping in. I did mess that up a little bit, so I know I messed it up. Man, it's like my crit chances are just dropping lower and lower every time I do it. It's most likely me not being consistent. Alright. Ouch. Yeah. It's now basically a player problem.